What if Gearbox Software and 2K Games shocked the Borderlands community by releasing a Borderlands 4 Prequel DLC that bridges the gap between Borderlands 3 and the upcoming Borderlands 4? Gearbox Software did a similar thing back in 2019 when they dropped a massive DLC for Borderlands 2 to promote the then upcoming Borderlands 3. The Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary DLC bridged the gap between those two games by telling its own story and moving the overall plot further. What if they did the same thing again but now released a Borderlands 3 DLC that bridges the gap between Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 4? What would that look like? Well, in order to establish that, we need to look at where we're at. We learned that Lilith teleported Pandora's moon at the end of Borderlands 3 and that it crashed into the new Borderlands 4 planet called Kairos. This cataclysmic event has had its impact on the natural order of Kairos. We see some of that in the Borderlands 4 reveal trailer, but what other events did this set in motion and how do we end up on this new location? I assume that the Crimson Raiders will play a role in Borderlands 4, because at the end of Borderlands 3, Ava and Tannis are all about finding Lilith. So we need something to happen to get the Crimson Raiders from Pandora to Kairos. There's likely going to be a 6-year time jump between Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 4 if Gearbox follows its own tradition. This gives us some room to play around with. So how will they find out about the new location? I think the Timekeeper is going to be a key in this. If I were the Timekeeper, I would want to know the origins of Elpis. Where did it came from? What if he sends out his minions to investigate the universe and we encounter them in the final Borderlands 3 DLC? I think that there is a cool way to integrate this event into the Borderlands 3 universe. Gearbox could implement this as a seasonal event. Wait, what? I hear you say? A seasonal event? I thought we were talking about a DLC. Stay with me, I got it figured out. It could act similar to the Revenge of the Cartels event, but instead of encountering Joey Ultraviolet's minions, you encounter the Timekeeper's synthetic army throughout the various Borderlands 3 planets. You will then collect data points by defeating the Order's troops. When you have enough data points, you will learn about their cloaked ship. Maurice will then be able to pinpoint its location and set up a portal so we can raid the ship for intel. I would love it if the Order spaceship offered a similar experience as Villa Ultraviolet, where it feels like a takedown with optional objectives, challenges, mini-bosses and of course a big boss fight. All this awesome gameplay is rewarded with new loot, but we also need some lore. So, because there are more hidden spaceships throughout the galaxy, it would be cool if we could intercept some transmissions from these spaceships and their HQ on Kairos. These transmissions could hint at things in Borderlands 4, like Callus, the Rippers, important NPCs and events, and of course a bit of backstory on the new playable Vault Hunters. The story of this Borderlands 4 Prequel DLC could take place over several playthroughs, where we get parts of the data each time we try to hack the ship's mainframe until we get the full coordinates of Kairos. This allows for replayability and the Crimson Raiders to set course for Kairos, where we will then pick up the story in Borderlands 4. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this DLC, and if you want to see another Borderlands 4 Prequel DLC ID, then go press things like the subscribe button.